The New York Times' Jessica Bennett reported from inside the courtroom on this case for her new piece, The Audacity of E. Jean Carroll. And journalist Robbie Myers oversaw Carroll's writing and actually testified for her in this case. Welcome to both of you. Robbie, you've been close to all of this. It got worse as time went on. We've covered how much worse and how much stiffer the penalty is. What have you learned in being a direct party to this and a witness across this whole process?
Well, I learned a lot of things. I mean, I learned a lot just from watching the team, from the legal team, brilliant, as everyone has said, because the way that they put the people who were testifying together and the clarity with which they could talk about E. Jean as a person, about what she went through, about how well they knew her, I think was really, a big part of it. And importantly, I think what it tells women, particularly women who have carried a secret around, as E.G. did for such a long time, that we're in a different environment right now. I realize that when women speak up about this, they still get a lot of aggravation and maybe not the kind of outcome that E.G. got. But I hope that that will be the outcome, is that more and more women will be less afraid to talk about what happened to them.
Understood. Jessica, one of the problems in our media or discourse is trying to make something about everything. So sometimes we cover an important legal case and people say, well, but will this swing the election? And the answer is, I don't know, and I'm not sure that's the right question. Or if that's the standard, then most everything we do, say, write, and think doesn't matter, right? Because who knows what's so pivotal? And I thought you spoke to some of this. I want to read briefly a quote, and then you tell us about your reporting and your writing, where you say this trial was also about, quote, the value of a woman long past middle age who dared to claim she indeed still had value. Tell us about your piece and what you saw in court.
Yeah, sitting in that courtroom, you're surrounded by legal analysts and political reporters, and everyone is watching every little tiny move or motion that Trump makes. And I just kept thinking, what is this actually telling us about the woman who is going to be victorious, or who has now been victorious here? She's sitting there 2 rows in front of this guy. She hasn't been in the same room with him in nearly 30 years. She's sitting upright in her chair. I think one of your contributors, Lisa Rubin, said she looked like the physical embodiment of trauma just in the way she was sitting. She wasn't turning to look at him. And I think it is so rare to see a woman of her age, she is 80 years old, come forward, speak publicly, and do it to a former president. And so in a lot of ways, I just kept noticing these undercurrents of the way that age and ageism and gender were coursing through all of the statements and the entire time in this courtroom.
Robbie?
Well, I mean, I agree. First, I also want to just say thank you for the audacity of E. Jean Carroll, because it really speaks to who she is. I mean, if you even look back, and you talked about this in your piece, that who she was as a journalist. I mean, she was among the first women to be on Saturday Night Live and to work for Esquire, which is a very hard place for women to get into in some ways. It still is. But I agree that, you're sitting there, right? I could see E. Jean from where I was in the witness stand. And, I know her pretty well, right? She's a very strong person, but you could feel the pain and the agony, and but also her will to sit there and talk to him very directly, talk to the jury very directly about what had happened to her and how she felt he should be punished, which I think, punitive damages is the biggest part of this whole thing, and it's really big.
Yeah, Jessica, Robbie's addressing you in your piece, so go ahead if you want to respond.
Yeah, no, I mean, one of the things that has irked me since the beginning of this. So I profiled E. Jean with 2 of my colleagues back in 2019, 3 days after she came forward with her story. And with Megan Twohey and Alexandra Alter, we corroborated her claims. And so the 2 women she had told about them came forward on the record for the first time. And it was fascinating to learn about this incredible career that she had before she was an advice columnist. Now, she was an incredible advice columnist. Robbie certainly knows. She hired her. But she had a 20-year career before that in which she was a gonzo-style journalist that women really did not get credit for doing back then. She wrote a book on Hunter S. Thompson. You know, she profiled all these major people. She was the first female contributing editor at Playboy magazine, back when people actually did read Playboy for the articles. And to see her kind of diminish both in the courtroom, but I think in our coverage of her as a former advice columnist, and or that kind of wacky lady that sued Trump has felt really diminishing in a way that I think gets at how ageism in some way has played a role in this trial.